It was wild. It was wacky. But at the end of the day, the Buffalo Bills win. I'm sharing my top takeaways from the Bills win over the Jets today on Locked On Bills.
You are Locked On Bills, your daily Buffalo Bills podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Bills Mafia? It's Joe Marino, author of Go Bills and Buffalo's Run, also the co-host of the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast, and I'm your host of Locked On Bills. Want to thank you for making Locked On Bills your first listen every day, and a big welcome and shout out to our everydayers. You know who you are. Those of you who never miss a single episode, I appreciate y'all being here very, very much. I'd also like to invite you to subscribe or follow for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Happy Victory Tuesday to you. The Buffalo Bills defeated the New York Jets 23-20 and improved to 4-2. What a weird football game that was, folks. Felt like the Bills were going to run away with it. Felt like the Bills were a whole lot more than 3 points better than the Jets. They go ahead 20-10 late in the second quarter. We're getting excited for the double dip because the Bills get the ball first coming out of the half. The Hail Mary changed the entire direction of the game. It became a penalty fest in the second half, but the Bills come out on top. And that's important. This was an important Week 6 game. Both teams had lost their previous two games. Both offenses struggling. And the Bills win. They get to 4-2, and they're 2.5 games up in the division. If they would have lost, not only do you have your third loss in a row, but you're now 3-3 and in second place. There was a lot here on the line. That was a big one to get. And so we'll celebrate. Club Dub, Victory Tuesday. It's here. Now, for this post-game conversation, I want to do it more in the traditional style that I typically do post-game reactions. The last few weeks have been different types of games where we had to get into some very meaty stuff. I think this game we can get back to the things I liked, the things I didn't like, my predictions, what's next, the traditional Locked On Bills initial post-game show. And then, of course, our next episode after this is the All-22 review, where we'll really break down what happened in this game and understand what happened. So make sure that you subscribe and that you're part of our conversations here daily on Locked On Bills. Let's start with things I liked, and we'll focus this part of the conversation on things I liked on the offense. That was the unit that was under the microscope in a big way after, let's just be honest, what happened in Houston, what happened in Baltimore. But getting back to a lot of what you expected the identity of this offense to be in this one. So I'll start here. I liked the physicality that the Bills played with on offense, and I thought that started on the opening drive, where the Bills ran the ball 8 times for 61 yards. Ray Davis had 6 carries for 48 yards on that opening drive alone. Josh Allen completes 1 pass to Dalton Kincaid, and even on that play, Dalton Kincaid's running dudes over. It was a tone-setting drive. The Bills established that their offensive line was going to be in control of this football game right then and there. And I've said, I think all season, that Jets defensive line isn't what it's been. And I thought that was pretty obvious in this game. And the Bills set the tone right there from their first offensive possession. It turns into 33 total carries for 149 yards. Now, the runs got a little more muddy, a little more dirty later on, but you just felt like the Bills could lean on that rushing offense. And what a night it was for Ray Davis. 23 touches, 152 yards. Boy, was he fun to watch. He brings a physical element to this rushing offense that, quite frankly, I want to see more of. I want to see him and James Cook share this backfield because I think they're really nice complementary players. There's a world where they can both really make an impact for this offense, and I think the Bills' offense will be at its best when that's happening. And so I'm hopeful that Ray Davis earned trust today, which means more opportunities as the weeks move along here. That's a really nice complementary pair of backs. I've been critical of James Cook for not really having a physical element to his game. Well, the Bills can get that physical element in Ray Davis and still enjoy the slashing style, the receiving skills that James Cook brings to the table. It could be a really good pair of backs. And hopefully this performance opened the door for us to see that moving forward. It really feels like the Bills have morphed into this bell cow back team where, I mean, Ty Johnson, 4 touches in this game? Ray Davis, 23? The Bills kind of lean on a guy, and that's a big shift in philosophy compared to the days when Sean McDermott said things like, it's not good for one back to carry the load. I'm excited for the prospects, and I hope to see a real split backfield here between Ray Davis and James Cook because I think, quite frankly, this offense will be at its best when that's the case. That physicality in this game was a big deal. So that's number one. What I liked offensively was the physicality, Ray Davis, the run blocking. It was really good. I love the efficiency of the offense in this game. And that was I've been really critical of the efficiency of the Bills offense the last 2 weeks, and they deserve that criticism. They deserve praise for being a very efficient offense in this game. 4 of 8 on third down, 3 for 3 scoring touchdowns in the red zone. Josh Allen is 19 of 25 throwing the ball, 215 yards, 2 touchdowns. He adds a 3rd touchdown on the ground. There was great efficiency with how this offense was able to execute. Not perfect, right? They still got in their own ways at times, and there's certainly penalties. We'll talk about that, but the efficiency was a lot better, and I think the Bills deserve to score more points than they did in this football game. Run blocking was terrific, and then I thought you saw some of the weapons that there's been questions about make more of an impact this game than they have in the previous 5. Curtis Samuel makes a big play down the field for 38 yards. His most productive game as a Bill. Dalton Kincaid, 7 targets, 6 catches, 51 yards. I mean, he should have went 7 for 7. I think Josh maybe missed him on that one throw. Dawson Knox, he's been a big topic of conversation. He comes away with a touchdown catch and actually drew an important pass interference call against him as well. Keon Coleman, a positive contributor to this team with 3 catches. Khalil Shakir, welcome back. Not a huge game, 2 catches, 2 targets, but he's working back in. You can feel there was that 1 third down, and I said to my brother, I'm like, this would be a great opportunity to find Khalil Shakir. Shallow drag, throw him the ball, he turns and runs, you get a first down. I think you saw the things you wanted to see from the Bills on offense in terms of what this version of the Bills is supposed to be, featuring Dalton Kincaid, having a run game that's cooking, and then mixing in these other weapons throughout. I thought it was a good embodiment of the offense that we were hopeful to see throughout the course of the season that was just not there the last couple of games. And so to do it on the road, 3rd game on the road in a row against a good Jets defense, I think is a big deal for this team to kind of get out of the 2 games that we just saw them play against the Ravens and Texans and kind of just reset and refocus. Hey, you're a good team. You're 4-2. You're 2.5 up in the division. You had a real chance to run away with this game in particular. You've got the Titans up next. I feel like the Bills are just in a lot better position than the way that we felt about this team even just before the kickoff of this game. The Bills needed to win this game, and they do. All right, coming up on the other side of it, I want to talk about the things I liked on the defensive side of the football. Of course, things I didn't like, and then we'll eventually get to my predictions and more. Folks, be sure to stick with me. Hey, NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com to download America's #1 sportsbook. Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. Prize Picks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike on other apps, on Prize Picks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Prize Picks is the only real money daily fantasy sports platform with an injury insurance policy, so that way your lineups stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. So download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code LOCKEDONNFL on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game. All right, folks, Victory Tuesday. The Bills 4-2, 2.5 games up in the division through the first 6 weeks. A lot of season left, obviously, but feeling a lot better. I know I'm feeling a lot better about this team today than I did before kickoff on Monday night against the Jets. Let's continue our conversation now looking at the things that I liked defensively. And it was just good to get some guys back in this game. Taron Johnson in particular, who's been out for a while, right? Out for a while. And obviously the interception was monumental. Just an unbelievable play. I don't know how he picked off that ball, but it was just a great individual effort, kind of playing a slot safety type role, getting back in coverage, and Mike Williams kind of shakes free and falls, and Taron Johnson just kind of outworks him for the ball. Huge play. Like based on the way that game was going, I'll be honest with you, and we'll get to things I didn't like, and we'll obviously talk about the officiating. Just based on the way the officiating was going, I thought to myself, the Bills have to get a turnover because there's going to be penalties along the way that are going to eventually at least put the Jets in position to get a game-tying field goal if they could make it. But Taron Johnson called game. He called game. It's a huge play, and he had another big tackle earlier in the game. You just felt like the team was – it's just different when he's out there. You could feel the impact. And that's a game-changing play by a guy that's supposed to make game-changing plays. So, Taron Johnson, hat tip to you. Thank you. Huge reason why the Buffalo Bills won this football game. How about Taylor Rapp? I think Taylor Rapp's taken a lot of heat. I'm not particularly sure why. I thought he had a bumpy start to his time with the Bills, and then I thought he finished last season really well, and I think he's been a solid player for the Bills this year, and boy, he certainly had his best game of the year against the Jets. 3 huge pass breakups. Huge. Taking touchdowns away, taking drives away from the Jets. And look, I know that the safety position in Buffalo, based on the tenure of Hyde and Poyer, creates a lot of high expectations. But I know this Bills defense is better when Taylor Rapp's on the field. And he was huge. I mean, give him a game ball, stud, whatever you want to say. Taylor Rapp's a big reason why the Bills are 4-2 right now. How about Terrel Bernard? Huge tackle for loss in this game. His presence was felt. I felt like his communication was really important. And look, it wasn't perfect for the Bills on defense. We'll talk more about some of where I thought there was issues, but I thought those 3 guys as players that have missed time to get them back, I felt like their presence was tangible. Obviously, it was some of that was very easy to feel, but I thought they were such positive additions to the team. How about A.J. Epenesa with a 2-sack game? And Dwayne Smoot actually started this game, and there was some commentary from Troy Aikman and Joe Buck that was intentional. The team is looking for more consistency out of Epenesa, which it feels like has been the conversation with Epenesa for his entire career in Buffalo. And so they start Smoot, and Epenesa comes in a sub role and gets 2 sacks and has some really good rushes against Tyron Smith, who's been one of the better left tackles in the game. And so big night for A.J. Epenesa to come away with 2 sacks. Daquan Jones with the sack on. I mean, I don't know why teams do this. Your regular offense is fine, and now you start to do a trick play, and then you get a bad negative play, and that's what happened in the Daquan Jones sack, where the Jets are moving the ball just fine. They decide to get cute. Daquan Jones comes up with the big sack. And I thought Rasul Douglas came away with some big-time tackles, particularly against the run. We'll talk about it here in just a second, but I felt like there were some times where the Jets wanted to make this more of a space game, and it was kind of working for them. But some of those drives were derailed by Rasul Douglas making big-time plays on the perimeter as a tackler. And so that was huge to see. And I think for as much as I complimented the efficiency of the Bills on offense, I think the efficiency of the Bills on defense also stood out. The Jets were 4 of 12 on third down. That's terrific. They were 1 of 4 scoring touchdowns in the red zone. That's terrific. And so I think when you look at this game in general, I think you could look at the red zone possessions, and that's the story. The Bills are 3 for 3 scoring touchdowns in the red zone. The Jets are 1 for 4. Both teams had field goal issues. But when you can score touchdowns when you're down there and hold them to field goals when they're down there, it's a big deal. I mean, in football, possessions matter, right? Like, you're only going to get the ball so many times per game. I don't know, 10, 11, 12 times. And when you have opportunities to score touchdowns and you don't, it's a killer. And I think red zone offense, red zone defense, big story in this game. And even, the Bills are kind of hanging on for dear life on some of those stops. That's when you saw the Taylor Rapp play. That's when you saw, like, hey, just a huge tackle to be able to Taylor Rapp makes a tackle as Breece Hall's breaking down the sideline. You're like, crap, they're going to score a touchdown, but they make the tackle. You force them to continue executing, and they come away with, well, a missed field goal instead of a touchdown. Those are big moments in a game where possessions became so important since it was a tight game, even though I don't feel like it had any business being tight. So a lot to like on the defensive side of the football. I mean, other players were positive. Dorian Williams had some good plays. I thought Christian Benford had some good plays. Damar Hamlin had some good plays. But I thought those were the guys that really stood out to me on that side of the ball. Let's talk about things I didn't like from this game. We got to start with the Hail Mary. I mean, what a dreadful sequence for the Bills. You score 20-10 up against the end of the half. You're thinking, man, double dip. Here it is. They score. You got to get the ball first coming out of the half. You can really build the lead, and you could just tee off on old man Rodgers. And then they take possession of the ball, and the Bills get into what I feel like is just an idiotic defense. They rush 2 and drop 9. And it's not just the Hail Mary play. It's the play before. Like, it was a 14-yard completion to Garrett Wilson, and the Bills rush 2 and drop 9. And I'm thinking to myself, if that's your strategy, you can't give up 14 yards over the middle of the field to Garrett Wilson. You're dropping 9 in coverage. They should not be able to complete a pass. But because you only rush 2, you're not heating up that quarterback. He can just sit there forever and throw the ball. It's a ridiculous idea to me to rush 2. You've got to be able to heat up that quarterback to some degree. I mean, I'm rushing 4 for sure. And then the Hail Mary. The Bills were so dialed in on defending the sideline for them to be able to get a completion. They forget that Aaron Rodgers is like the greatest Hail Mary thrower in the history of the league, and it wasn't that far of a throw for him. And they get a friggin' touchdown before the half. It's like the momentum shifted. Went from 20-10. You get the ball coming out of the half to 20-17. They make a big play, and you feel like they're right back in it. And I hope that you're learning. I'm trying to preach this message this year about game script and how it really matters and how you can play. When the Bills were up in that game, the defense was able to rack up the splash plays and really make it difficult on the Jets because they're not able. It kind of becomes a drop back passing game. When they can just run their regular stuff and it's a neutral game script, it's a lot harder to defend. And that changed everything when it became more of a neutral game script because of that ridiculous sequence that let the Jets back into the game. So I think it's a ridiculous call to rush 2 and drop 9. That doesn't even get into the whole just bat down the ball, right? Bat down the ball. So, like, you have 2 major problems here. You do nothing to force that throw to come out quicker. You give them all the time in the world to not only get down there to be in position to catch the ball, but also for the quarterback to just be comfortable and just throw the ball. I mean, even if it's not a catch, you still worry about things like a PI call that's going to put them first and goal from the 1 on an untimed down or something like that. You can't just rush 2. And heck, I'm not even a fan of ever rushing 3. I want a 4-man rush minimum. How much better would you be in those situations if you just play regular defense? So, yeah, I didn't like the Hail Mary. And again, the defensive alignment plus the just not batting down the ball. Change the game. The Bills are going to run away with that thing. Change the game. Crazy to think the score was, if you just, the second half, it was 3-3 in the second half. 20-17 at halftime. 3-3 in the second half. Next thing I didn't like is penalties. Come on. Come on with this. I mean, the Bills 11 penalties for 94 yards. The Jets 11 penalties for 110 yards. You have 204 yards of penalties in a game. Some of those calls were good. Some of them were bad. But I think in the words of the great Marv Levy, they were a bunch of over-officious jerks. That game became really difficult to watch in that second half. And you know, the thing is, like, the penalties were one thing, and there was a ridiculous amount. It ruined the flow of the game. Those refs couldn't get the clock figured out either, just like regular game function stuff. When to start the ball, start the play clock, and, you know, certain different situations that came up where they were just out of sorts the whole game. Just like very poorly officiated game, not just from the standpoint of calling way too many penalties, but your ability to just manage the flow of the game by spotting the ball and getting the play clock going. Embarrassing night for the NFL officials. And you guys know me. If you've been listening to this podcast for any length of time, not one to really talk about officials. This was impossible to not come away talking about officials because they wanted it to be about them in the second half. I mean, just absolutely insane. You held your breath every single play. Every single play, you're just holding your breath that the result of the play that you watch is what it's going to be, and that there's not going to be an automatic first down given. But from the Bills' standpoint in particular, there was some penalties that they deserved to have. And they were drive killers for the offense, and they were drive killers on defense. There's plenty of times where the Bills are stopping them on third down, and the Jets are able to get a first down because of a penalty. The Bills stop them. They stop them on the play. And there's a penalty. I mean, you're trying to get drives going in the second half. False start on first down. Illegal formation on first down. A hold. It's like, man, you started beating yourself. So, yeah, some of that was deserved, and some of it was just, hey, those officials were terrible. Other things I didn't like, the pass rush I thought was quiet. I know the Bills had 3 sacks in the game. Just not enough impact with the pass rush. I miss Von Miller. I miss Ed Oliver. I really do. I know Ed Oliver is a punching bag for some fans, but I don't get it. That dude, you could tell he's not been around the last few weeks. That interior push, the Bills need it back in a big way. And boy, Von Miller, miss him as well. You still got a couple more games with no Von, but hopefully Ed Oliver's hamstring can get right and he can get back on the field and help this football team, because that interior push is just missing. I thought I mentioned this already, some struggles in space on defense. You know, I thought the Jets did a good job of getting the ball out of Aaron Rodgers' hands quickly, some off-tackle runs, but really stressing the Bills to play off contact, get out onto the edges, getting good pursuit angles, and make tackles. And I thought when the Jets were able to make it a space game, the Bills' defense really had some troubles. And then the last thing I'll say here, Tyler Bass. He misses an extra point. I don't care if it's blocked. Extra points can't be blocked. And then he misses from 47. I know that other kicker missed field goals too. I don't know if the win was a big deal or not, but Sean McDermott after the game, point blank period, said he knows he's got to make those kicks. Come on. Just, again, I don't know what the answer is. I don't think there's good kickers laying around. Obviously, the cap implications are big. You have to eat a bunch of dead cap space with Tyler Bass. Like, I get it. And I hate the idea of moving on from an inconsistent kicker in Tyler Bass just to put another human being in there that's also an inconsistent kicker that doesn't have a job right now for a reason. Like, it's a very complicated situation, but I have zero confidence anytime that Tyler Bass steps on the field to try to kick a ball. And I'm pretty sure everyone feels that way. All right, coming up on the other side of it, we'll recap my predictions and talk about what's next, folks. Be sure to stick with me. Purchasing tickets for an event can be stressful, but it doesn't have to be, and it isn't if you have the Game Time app. Game Time, the fast and easy way to purchase tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. I love the app. It's easy to navigate. They give you flash deals. They give you a picture from your seat so you know what to expect. They send the tickets right to your phone when you purchase them, so you have to dig through emails to find them. And I also love this. They specialize in last-minute ticket specials, so you can make a decision right up into the day of the event and get a great deal on tickets, and they give you a best price guarantee. So check it out. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNFL. That's LOCKEDON NFL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. All right, folks, let's recap my predictions, talk about what's next for the Bills, talk about what's next for my content. I'm always accountable to my predictions. I give 5 every game. Let's see how I did. My first prediction was that Dalton Kincaid would have a season high in receiving yards. The previous high was 47 against the Ravens. That happened. He had 51 yards. So that's the new season high. I correctly predicted that. Number 2 is I predicted that there would be multiple catches for Dawson Knox. Only 3 catches on the year, 7 receiving yards in his last 4 games. I didn't get this correct, but Dawson Knox did score a touchdown. So that's cool. The idea was that Dawson Knox would have more of a role. And anyways, I said he'd have 2 catches. He didn't. He only had 1, but it was a touchdown. My next prediction was that whoever gets to 20 points first wins the game. That happened. The Bills got to 20. It was 20-10. Not sure if you remember. Things got weird after that. But yes, whoever scored 20 points first won the game. That happened. I was correct. I also predicted that Greg Rousseau would have a sack on this game. It didn't happen. I think A.J. Epenesa took advantage of the opportunities that I thought would be there for Rousseau, and he comes away with 2 sacks. But I was wrong. Rousseau didn't get a sack, but I did predict that the Bills would win this game, and that happened. So I go 3 for 5 on predictions. What's next for the Bills is a home game against the Tennessee Titans at 1 o'clock. So the 3-game road streak is over. 4 of the first 6 games on primetime. That's now behind us. Week 7, the Bills, 1 o'clock in Orchard Park, hosting the Tennessee Titans. Then they go to Seattle, home against Miami, at the Colts, home against the Chiefs, and then the bye week. So we're chugging along here throughout this season. It moves fast. It's like a sprint and a marathon all at once is the NFL season. Next for this podcast, of course, our very next conversation will be the All-22 review. So on Tuesday, I will spend all day studying the film, and at the end of the day, I will record a podcast to let you know just my deep dive thoughts on the game, and always look forward to doing that. And then, of course, if you're part of our subtext community, you'll get the film file. So I'll send you a file with a bunch of plays that stand out to me that I'll break things down and let you know what I'm seeing, and be part of that. If you're part of the subtext community, you get that. If you want to be part of the subtext community, there's a link in today's show notes to join. You get a lot with the subtext subscription, in addition to my weekly All-22 review file where you see the plays. I do voiceover commentary on the actual plays. You'll see a video of that. You get my my in-game text. So as the Bills are playing the Jets, sending out texts after every drive, letting people know what I'm thinking, how I'm feeling. You get my first reaction to all major Bills news, so you don't have to scroll through social media to see what's going on with the Bills. I'll send it right to your phone with my thoughts on it. And you get into our Discord channel, and our Discord channel is so fun. We've got 1,200 Bills fans in there talking Bills, talking life. We have a lot of weekly events going on. I do a daily poll every morning at 9 a.m. I put a poll in there. We talk Bills. And this Wednesday, we're doing our second round of easy trivia. We did Bills easy trivia like 2 weeks ago. Was a blast. It's coming back this Wednesday, Discord exclusive. You get into the Discord with a subtext subscription. Check it out. There's a link in today's show notes. So we have All-22 review next. Then we have crossover Thursday with Locked On Titans. Then my primer, my full primer, getting ready for the Titans. And then, of course, my final thoughts, injuries, and predictions. So all that's coming between now and Saturday morning. And then on the Substack, where I'm writing articles, there's a link in today's show notes if you want to check that out as well. 3 columns this week. You'll get my big picture post-game column, where I think about, the bigger picture items coming out of this game. I'll do a full article on that for you on Tuesday. Then later in the week, my weekly scouting column on Josh Allen. So I do a metrics column every single week where I break down all of the metrics with Josh Allen. I provide film. I provide an analysis on exactly how he's playing relative to the rest of the league. And then my scouting matchup against the Titans, where I go through, I grade every player. I show you the starting lineups, and I really break down where the matchup advantages are for both teams. So a lot coming your way here on the podcast. So make sure you're subscribed. Check out the subtext. Check out the Substack. There's links in today's show notes to see all of it. Would love for you to be a part of it. The community that's being built around this podcast is incredible. Don't miss out on it. All right, folks, enjoy your Victory Tuesday. I know that was a tough 2-week stretch, but it feels like the Bills are back on track. Got a big-time opportunity to get to 5-2 on Sunday against the Titans. And after we do the All-22 review, we'll start getting ready for that football game. All right, don't miss anything. Make sure that you're subscribed. Would love it if you took a second to rate, review, and share the podcast. Have a great rest of your day. Go Bills, and I look forward to catching up with you again real soon.